Hello everyone, David here. It seems like there's a push to big screens now. The Switch went from 6.2 inches originally up to 7 for the OLED model, and rumours suggest the Switch 2 might go even bigger. Phones keep getting incrementally larger, as do the screens on handhelds. And as a gamer dad, I'm all for it. Once you hit about the age of 40, you realise it physically hurts to look at things up close now, which is really annoying actually. Reading glasses are awesome and can alleviate a lot of that. Not only do they make it comfortable to look at things close up again, but they also have a magnification effect, so your screen really does seem bigger. But the downside is, of course, you have to remember to carry these around with you. So there's a burgeoning new segment of the market, gaming on tablets with controllers. What started off as an offshoot of phone-based controllers, modded to stretch to fit tablets as well, like I've done with this GameSir X2, has now found official support from a few manufacturers, including this model, the Razer Kishi Ultra. A few years ago, I reviewed the original Razer Kishi, and it worked great with my iPhone 12 at the time. So can they improve upon the design and make something capable of handling a tablet? Spoilers, yes they can. It's a gorgeous, full-size controller with tons of great features, but it is expensive, there's no getting around that. The Razer Kishi Ultra doesn't pull any punches. Weighing in at over 250 grams, it may double the weight of your phone when attached, and the thumbsticks, triggers and face buttons are as large as any standard wireless Xbox-like controller, which, being an Xbox and 360 nerd at heart, I find very satisfying personally. It connects via USB-C, another feature I prefer since I don't want to have to manage yet another battery and keep it charged. And it means you're benefiting from a direct wired connection without any of the lag that Bluetooth might introduce. It has its own USB-C socket, which can support up to 15 watts of pass-through charging, and a headphone jack, if you want to use wired headphones. That's also nice if you want to avoid any audio lag through Bluetooth, which is something I do find noticeable, although to be honest, I don't mind it so much. Still, it's great to have that as an option. There are no paddles on the back, and instead Razer have opted for L4 and R4 buttons up at the top, next to the shoulder buttons and triggers. I don't find myself using them that often, but I did realise that they mirror the layout of ZL and ZR on the Nintendo 3DS. So if you're playing a 3DS game in an emulator, you can map the buttons to get quite an authentic feel. There are start and back buttons here, and an extra guide button up here. A bit of a weird choice of placement, but it sort of makes sense if you consider the back button is above where your left hand is most of the time, if it's on the D-pad. Then you get a capture button, which you can press for a screenshot or hold it down to take a video using their software, and the Nexus button on the bottom right to show and hide the launcher on Android. Really great set of options provided there. Anecdotally, I really like the overall look and design of the controller, and the RGB lighting, when it's connected, adds some nice flair. It has haptics built in, which is pleasant, nicer than just using your phone to vibrate, and as I suppose I've suggested already, it stretches really far to accommodate a wide range of phones and tablets. It's a perfect fit for my Lenovo Legion Y700, and will work well with an iPad mini as well. There is a limit though, it will only fit a device and case up to 21 centimeters, so it doesn't, for example, fit this Galaxy Tab S6. You get a few options for rubber clips at the edges, so it'll work with a variety of cases, or just naked if you roll that way. In the case of this Y700, which I've kept with the factory supplied case, I use the thinnest rubber grip on the left-hand side and nothing on the right, which provides the best balance of stability and ease of connection when I plug it in. I think the best way to sum it up is premium. Everything feels really high quality with no compromises made. Chucking this into Game Controller Tester, I can see that the buttons and sticks are very responsive with no missed inputs or wonky stick calibration. The triggers are Hall effect, but the sticks are not. Not sure why, and we'll see how well they hold up over time, whether stick drift becomes an issue. Right now though, I can say that the responsiveness is great and the dead zones are pleasantly small. You can use it as is, but I recommend you also download the Razer Nexus app, not the Kishi app or any of the other Razer offerings, a mistake easily made. This provides a nifty launcher for your games, access to firmware updates, and lots of other tweaks. Here you can change the RGB patterns or just turn it off if that's your jam, and rebind some of the buttons if necessary. I didn't think I would end up using the launcher at all, but honestly it is quite convenient to group all of your games together, and you can easily see which settings it'll use for the controller when you boot them. If your game has native controller support, that's awesome. But if not, you can use Nexus to bind controller inputs to parts of the touchscreen. I have to admit I was rather skeptical, but it works surprisingly well. Star Rail, for instance, has never had controller support on Android, but you can map the sticks to the virtual ones very accurately, and it works, just as if it was going native. Of course, it'll take a while if you want to bind buttons to every place on screen you would ever need to tap, so you'll probably still need to use the touchscreen occasionally for a game like this, but it's encouraging to see Razer's software actually live up to its promise. So, let's talk about the price. Everything I've said so far about this controller has had the premium sense to it, right? Well, that adjective extends to the RRP as well, and it's currently priced at £150 in most places. You can pick it up right now for a bit of a discount at Amazon, $130, and I have seen it as low as $125 from reputable retailers. But still, that is quite the price tag. I think if you're looking for specifically a tablet controller, and you don't want to chop one up to modify it, and you just want the best, then this is what you're after. Whether you're willing to spend over a ton for it is up to you. I was lucky enough to receive this unit for review, and I'm obviously very happy about that. I was also looking at the Absolute S9, which has just come out of Kickstarter, and looks okay, and is priced lower. But honestly, if I was going to choose between the two without considering the price, I'd pick the Kishi Ultra every time. There's also the GameSir G8 Plus, which will fit an 8.8-inch tablet without modification, although personally I wouldn't go for a Bluetooth controller when wired options are available. Then that leaves modifying a controller that almost fits. I did this with my GameSir X2. It wasn't that hard, although you need to be careful handling a sharp knife or scissors while you're extending this tightly sprung mechanism. Overall though, I can't really recommend this approach because, well, first of all, you might hurt yourself, and you may also end up damaging your controller, like I have here. It feels like it's on borrowed time. It's stretching really far when it wraps around the tablet, and it's not pleasant to extend or contract back past the previous maximum amount. But it is a cheap option if you just want to try something out. I went over some of my favourite controller games in my Tessen review, and mostly that hasn't changed. I still really recommend you try out Streets of Rage 4. It's just so much fun to duff up some bad guys, and with responsive controls, I find myself experiencing a definitive sense of joy. It's a near-perfect port of the PC version, and still supports multiplayer and the DLC, which I also recommend you grab. In an era of gacha games trying to take bites out of your wallet every month, this is a title you can buy once and enjoy for a very long time. Zenless Zone Zero. I am aware of the irony of now mentioning one of the aforementioned gacha games, but I think this is worth a shout out. The graphics and responsiveness have been finely tuned to provide a fun arena for your agents, and if you can live with the filler dialogue, it's pretty fun to explore the retro VHS tape paved world. You can get far with just a free-to-play account, so it won't cost you anything to see what the fuss is about. Diablo Immortal. It felt a bit cramped on my phone, and a tablet really gives this title room to breathe. Possibly due to its console and desktop roots, there's a lot going on, and it's nice to be able to see all the details. Also free to play, I think this unfairly maligned title is worth a try. Moonlight. If you have a desktop PC on the same network, turn on game streaming. Nvidia have deprecated their GeForce Experience app, sadly, which had the feature built in. So instead, I recommend you go and download Sunshine on the host PC, then grab Moonlight on your phone and tablet. It supports a lot of options for getting great picture quality and reducing lag, and I found it a bit easier to tweak than basic Steam streaming. If you get the overall lag down to 15 milliseconds or so, that's what, about 1 frame's worth at 60 Hz. It still makes a huge swathe of your Steam library very playable, even over the network. Winlator. I was quite amazed to discover I could install Tomb Raider, the 2013 version, and run it on my tablet. This was originally an Xbox 360 game which got a PC port, and I'm essentially running the PC version through emulation with Winlator. It takes a while to install, and there are some graphical artifacts, but it's eminently playable. I also expect the situation to get better, as these apps are in an intense state of development right now. I'm still waiting for some official support from someone, maybe Valve, to sweep up the market of gamers who are waiting to play an enormous library of PC games on their mobile devices. You can't easily install Steam yet and download games directly on Winlator, so for now I recommend you visit Good Old Games, GOG.com, and grab something there, which will come with an offline installer you can use to keep your games backed up forever. So that's the end of my review, and I think you can probably guess that I like this product. Is it perfect? Well, not exactly. I just wish it would fold up smaller. And for that, I still like my ROG Tesson. If I'm only taking my phone somewhere and traveling light, I'll still take this one. But it doesn't work with the tablet, so for playing around the house, when I don't want to sit at my desk, the TV is in use, and I want a big-ish screen, this is my go-to. What do you think? Is tablet gaming a valid segment of the market now? Or is this just a weird flash in the pan, destined to be replaced by a jumbo-sized Switch 2 when it launches? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments section below. In the meantime, please leave me a like, and you can help me out by subscribing to my channel too. See you next time.